It's time for Money Talk, only on 920 AM, WHJJ. Certified financial planner Donald J. Soa will take your calls at 438-8700. That's 438-8700. How to make money, how to hold on to it, and how to see it grow for you. You're hearing Money Talk, only on 920 AM, WHJJ.
Good evening and welcome to Money Talk, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Donald Soa. Thanks for joining us tonight. Tonight, as is usual, we try very often to bring a guest on board to the Money Talk program to discuss issues that are of importance to our Rhode Island and Southern New England listeners. It was only about 4 or 5 weeks ago, right here on this program, we had a guest on who actually caused a tremendous amount of interest from our local listeners. We had a number of calls here at WHJJ, and I received a number of comments and calls at my own office related to the topic of the evening, and that topic was dividend reinvestment plans. My guest on that occasion was Vida Nelson. Vida is the editor and primary writer, I guess you'd consider, for the Money Paper. And the Money Paper, although it did not start out necessarily as a vehicle for promotion of dividend reinvestment plans, pretty much has grown into that type of a vehicle. I guess they've chosen that particular topic and that particular strategy as being one that has obviously not been given enough attention nationwide and certainly not on the media. First of all, Vida is here with us in studio tonight. I have invited her to join us here. She's come up to Rhode Island to talk to our listeners, and we're very, very grateful that you've taken the time to be with us tonight, Vida.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Vida, for those of the many listeners who caught only a piece of the program the last time, which is one of the reasons we've had such a response, they said, please, are you going to rerun the show? Or, we obviously keep a great many of our shows on tape. And we decided instead perhaps it might be even more useful to us, if your schedule allowed for it, to get you in studio. It certainly creates more synergy, but it also gives us the opportunity to address issues more directly and to our listeners. Why don't you explain for our listeners exactly what a dividend reinvestment program is?
I'll be happy to do that. But, Don, I want to also comment that I had more reaction from the program that I did with you over the telephone than I have ever had, no matter what broadcast. So your audience was very, very responsive, but I think your questions were so good, too, that we really got to it. What is a dividend reinvestment plan? Mm-hmm. These plans are offered by almost 1,000 different companies so that people who are investors in the stock of the company can have the opportunity to reinvest their dividends, but also, and the most important part, is also to make new cash investments. That way, the investor can send money to the plan and bypass brokers. In effect, they can establish their own mutual fund.
You know, Vida, one of the problems with investing in the stock market to begin with is that I think especially the small investor has this perception that really you have to be very sophisticated and have an awful lot of money to participate. And it's my understanding, and I don't pretend to be an expert on these dividend reinvestment plans, which are sometimes referred to as DRIPS, for the acronym DRIP.
Right.
But why is that an untrue statement, the idea that you have to be rich and you have to be sophisticated?
Well, by using dividend reinvestment plans, you can invest as little as $10 or $25 in a company. You can establish yourself in as many different companies as you want because you don't have any entrance fee to pay to a broker. And most of the companies that offer these plans are very high-quality companies. They're the companies, the AT&Ts of the world, the Xeroxes, the South, Bell South, and all the telephone companies, the utility companies, the banks. These are the companies that have paid dividends for many, many years. They have track records that you can look back at, and these are the solid companies.
Well, you know, the name dividend reinvestment plan by itself strikes me as being a bit of a misnomer. It gives me the impression, if I were to look at it on the surface, that all I'm able to do here is buy the stock and then take the dividends and buy new stock with that.
Right. Well,
Why
that's
is that
how it started. But now these plans permit you to make optional cash investments. You can send from as little as $10 to as much as $100, $1,000, or even $10,000 to the company without paying any commissions to a broker, directly to the transfer agent who deposits that money in your account. And it's a very solid way to have a very diversified portfolio. That limits your risk. Diversification is the single most important thing that you can do to keep your risk down.
You know, we've had many guests on the program, some top-name experts such as Louis Rukeyser and Peter Lynch, and one of the underlying themes that all of them have mentioned is this issue of dollar-cost averaging as being a prudent strategy, especially in a marketplace where the market is declining on a regular basis.
That's exactly right.
You know, from reading the money paper, the last issue you sent me, I noticed that one of the very premises of this strategy pretty much almost depends upon the idea of dollar-cost averaging and is very beneficial in this type of market.
Exactly. When the price of a stock is high, the person who sends money is going to buy very few stocks. But when the price is low, and especially if they send the same amount of money, they're going to buy more stocks. So if their strategy is to keep sending money on a dollar-cost averaging basis, they are going to end up buying most of their shares at the low price and only a few shares at the high price. It works out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking tonight with Vita Nelson. She's my guest in studio. She's the editor of the Money Paper, and we're talking about dividend reinvestment plans. Our number here at WHJJ is 438-8700, and we'll be happy to take your calls either on this topic or any topic if it pertains to money. Our first caller of the evening is Carol in East Greenwich. Carol, welcome.
Yes, good evening, Donald.
Good evening.
Good evening to your guest. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in the dividend reinvestment. I'm looking for the safest place to put a small amount of money that I've just come into, about $7,600. Without having to pay broker's fees or without the risk of losing it, and where would be the best place to put that?
Carol, what was your time frame? I mean, when do you think you'll actually need this money?
Time frame, just not very soon.
Not very soon?
Not very soon, no.
Well, of course, there's a number. If you're the type of person who has looked at the stock market before, you might want to consider actually using no-load equity funds. There are a number of them in the market that.
I've listened to you, but I don't know how to even get started with that. How does one get an education in that area?
Well,
I wouldn't know where to turn.
Well, of course, by listening to the Money Talk program, you might.
I do all the time.
Well, why don't we start with our guest, Vita, also deals with this topic. Vita, what would you consider the best way for a lady to...
Well, I want to know why Carol isn't interested in dividend reinvestment plans, because if you have some time to stay in the market, it's been demonstrated over and over again by so many academic studies that stocks are among the best ways to have your equity grow. And if you are looking to avoid having, since it's not all that much money, if you want to be diversified, and if you want to have some money in stocks, why would you not want to invest in a broad range of stocks in 5 or 10 different industries, put your money in there, have no fees associated with it, let it stay there, let the dividends get reinvested, and let the money grow?
Mainly because I don't know anything about it. That's the main
Well,
item.
I wish you'd call our office and let us send you some information about these plans, because it sounds like it's too good to be true, but it isn't too good to be true.
Okay.
Carol, one of the questions that a great many investors look to, especially when they're first starting out, is, well, I myself may not necessarily be sophisticated enough to pick the correct stocks to take advantage of a dividend reinvestment program. Vita, I mean, in answer to that question, how does the Money Paper help someone like Carol in this beginning process?
Well, for one thing, we always pick diversified portfolios. So we have 4 or 5 different portfolios in every issue, not necessarily with dividend reinvestment plans. Just one of our portfolios is comprised of stocks that have these plans. But before we would ever publish these companies, we look into them. We pick a diversified portfolio of 20 different stocks in every issue of the Money Paper. And before we do that, after we've decided what companies we think fill a certain bill, you know, like whether they've raised their dividends every year or whether they're particularly secure in that their payout ratio is well protected, so we know their dividend is going to be there. After we've gone through all of our own screening, then we first send it to one of our associates at Prubache, as a matter of fact, Pete Soroka, and we get his opinion just to be sure there's no research on the subject, you know, where the stock could possibly, you know, something could look bad that we haven't noticed. And then Michael Burke, who also works for us and does our market outlook every month, we get his opinion from a technical point of view to be sure that this is a solid company. It's going to be there.
Carol, I guess in the end, what Vita is probably suggesting here is that the money paper, part of the service that they're suggesting, is that they're actually going to do the analysis of the various companies that meet the sample portfolio.
Not that the person can't do it themselves without even subscribing, because companies that have dividend reinvestment plans are by and large companies that have been around for a long time, that have a long track record. And you could start by getting their reports, and looking at their annual report.
Of course, the paper itself is an educational forum. I mean, so it's going to help someone like Carol or even myself trying to look at these things for the first time, better inform ourselves about the nature of the market to begin with,
right,
and as well as the mechanism of dividend reinvestment programs.
That's right.
Is this the same as a no-load mutual fund?
No, you make your own mutual fund in a sense. So you're not in there where a fund manager has to do something like sell just at the time when you might want to be buying. You know how when the market crashes, everybody says, I need to get out of here because, this is all the money I have in the world and I'm really so frightened?
Yes.
Well, we advise our subscribers that might be the time where they ought not to go to the movies and maybe skip dinner and send that extra money to the dividend reinvestment plan, because those plans will take your $25. Because that is the time when your $25 might buy 2.5 shares, where another time won't even buy one.
I see.
Carol, when we come back from a brief break in a few minutes, we're going to get into an aspect of this planning that we've discussed earlier on called dollar cost averaging, explain specifically why that works and why in a relatively volatile market as we're in right now, perhaps this type of program and this type of strategy makes sense not only for the sophisticated investor but for the newcomer, the person who is starting out. My one question for Vita was related to Carol's initial question was, is $7,600 enough to do a good job with this type of program?
Absolutely. There's no question about it.
What kind of a return do you look at on something like this when you reinvest?
Well, your dividends, let's say you're in a company that has a 5% dividend. Let's say you buy, I'm trying to think, but, right now on the air I can't think of the dividends for every company. Well, maybe I'll look in the back, but the return would depend on the dividend yield and, of course, the price appreciation. And it's for people who can be in there with money that doesn't have to, that can take some losses. In other words, you leave it there, you don't be concerned about it because you know you're well diversified, you continually invest, and after a long time, more of your shares were purchased when it went down.
Are you saying continually invest by reinvesting or by
reinvesting
money?
your dividends, and also having a program of investing. You have to, you've got to prepare for your future. So you shouldn't be spending all your money every year. You should be setting some aside and continually investing.
Carol, one way you might want to start out if you're actually seriously looking at this type of a program would be perhaps to choose for yourself a good quality money market fund.
I wouldn't even know where to start.
Well, any major mutual fund, including Fidelity or Putnam or any of them, have good funds. They don't have any sales charges attached to them, and they would all give you a checkbook privilege that you could write checks out of. And what we're suggesting is that start up your dividend reinvestment program with only a portion of your original investment and then gradually add money into it over the months. Even as the market is dropping down, the new dollars you're investing are buying more shares because the share prices are declining. This is a strategy, of course, that requires you to hold on in this market as we go through the trough and come back into the growth cycle of the market. But for our purposes, that may only be out over the next 3 to 5 years.
So it fits your time frame. Get richer, because they can afford to wait it out.
They can afford to leave it there.
That's right. Where sometimes you just feel that you can't invest in stocks because you don't know enough. But people who do are the ones who are able to make the money.
Is this a better idea than a Treasury note, Donald?
Well, a Treasury note right now will probably provide you about 5.5% return.
Yeah.
You'll have to hold it in that note for at least that full year if it's a 12-month or a 2-year note. It's obviously the safest investment in the world is a Treasury. So depending upon your personal risk tolerance, and realistically, if growth is really your goal, Carol, you might want to consider looking, if not at other mutual funds, certainly at a dividend reinvestment plan, using some of the guidelines that Vita Nelson's money paper provide from their sample portfolios.
Okay.
At very least, I think it certainly is worth looking at and seeing if it's the right thing for you, and you might even have fun doing it.
Where can I get some information on the money paper?
Well, as I did last time I was on, we are going to offer Donald's listeners a half-price subscription. This is Friday, so if you call on Monday or Tuesday and say you heard this program, we will give you a subscription for $36. And we have a guide to all the companies that have dividend reinvestment plans, and that usually sells for $25. and we will sell that to you for $9, which is the price that we always charge our subscribers.
Carol, if you're interested in more information, you can call the 800 number, which is 800-388-9993. And believe me, at that price, it really is a bargain, at least to take a close look at it and find out if it's the right thing for you.
Okay, great.
I appreciate your call.
And they could have a sample even if they don't
That's
necessarily,
right.
they don't have to subscribe
That's
because
right.
they call the number.
They will send you the sample first, and then you decide what you want to do.
Wonderful. Thank you very much,
Thank
both of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Donald Sower, and you're listening to the Money Talk program. My guest this evening is Vita Nelson, the editor of the Money Paper. When we come back, 438-8700 will get you online and on board with the program. You can ask Vita a question or ask any question related to personal finance. The talk continues right here on 920 AM WHJJ. Stay tuned, because we will return.
Finding a nice place to live is one of the most important decisions you can make. Let's talk to some people.
In your store yesterday.
Ooh, she's a big one.
What?
This Wise Bravo's tortilla chip. Look, it's made from giant-sized white corn tortillas, toasted to a thin, crispy, toasty taste.
My wife said she asked you about party dips, and you were munching something.
Wise
and she
Bravo's tortilla
She
chips.
didn't understand a word you
I
said.
told her Wise Bravo's tortilla chips really stand up to dips.
Store managers do not munch in public.
Here, try one.
And I hear these are good.
I know, I can't resist Wise Bravo's tortilla chips.
Well, just don't do it again.
Okay, but it's going to be hard.
Do your best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These are very good.
Yeah, they aren't
Wise Bravo's tortilla chips for that crispy toasted taste that's irresistibly munchable.
Stop by your local market today and stock up on the complete line of new Wise Bravos tortilla chips. Available in white corn restaurant style, yellow corn deli style, and nacho cheese. Wise Bravos have the crispy toasted taste that's irresistibly munchable.
Lots of good things come in sets.
Right now, save on all mattress sets at Sears, including Sealy, Simmons, and Spring Air. Save $20 on twin-size sets, $30 on full, $40 on queen, and $50 on king-size mattress sets.
Most kids prefer swing sets.
With a $40 bonus, Spring Air Dreamer queen-size set is just $259.99.
I don't know who would want a mattress set instead of a swing set.
Save on all mattress sets through May 24th at Sears Home Life Furniture Stores and some Sears stores. Contact store for availability.
Steve Cass, 9 to noon on WHJJ.
Interesting talk.
Mo Lazier, noon to 3 on WHJJ.
Controversial talk.
Arlene Violet, 3 to 6 on WHJJ.
Compelling talk.
Don Soa, 6 to 7 on WHJJ.
Informative talk.
Bruce Williams and Dr. Joy Brown, nights on WHJJ.
Interesting and controversial talk.
Compelling and informative talk, only on 920 AM WHJJ.
And we are back on WHJJ. This is your host, Donald Sowa. For those of you who are just tuning in, my guest tonight is Vita Nelson. Vita is the editor of the Money Paper. Vita was our guest not much more than 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she's back pretty much because of all of the inquiries that we've received, both here at the station and at my office. Probably most of them came from individuals who either heard about the show and did not have an opportunity to listen, or those who caught just a part of it near the end and missed what they felt were some of the basic fundamentals of why we were talking about this very important topic. Now, please don't misunderstand. Dividend reinvestment programs are an exciting alternative to a number of options that we've been looking at for almost a year and a half here on Money Talk, including mutual funds, buying individual stocks, trying to play the game. We talk about the levels of risks that are out there, and I think anytime we come up with a new and effective strategy, one of the important elements of that new and effective strategy are the fact that we're able to balance risk and perhaps provide ourselves with an inexpensive way of enjoying the rewards of participating in the stock market. I can't think of too many ways other than equity mutual funds and dividend reinvestment programs, Vita, that actually allow us that ability, diversification plus cost-effective investing.
Right. Well, even if you use a mutual fund, I would recommend that you keep doing it. Invest in a mutual fund on a dollar cost averaging basis. That way you don't take a position at a time when the market might be at its all-time high, and you don't worry about when to get in. I think that's a problem. People don't come in the market because they don't know if this is the moment.
You know, we're all accustomed to saving money, and I guess people who invest in banks and CDs and deposit accounts don't even really fall into the category of investors. They're more depositors. But I was raised in my own household going to the bank once a week, putting that $2 or $3 in the account, watching the girls stamp the booklet, and then coming back and looking at the fact that every time I did that, there was more money in the account. So it was this dollar appreciation, capital appreciation strategy, which made me feel so fulfilled. But we have found now, when you get into a market where the market is declining and we want to participate in areas where we can enjoy real growth especially that'll beat the rate of inflation and so many other factors, that we have to really be in the market. But how in a market like we're in right now, where we expect over the next even as much as 12 months is to see a steady decline in the share prices in domestic stocks, how does an investor typically take advantage of the market even though the market's going down?
Well, I think that by investing regularly in dividend reinvestment plans, I keep saying that because you can't invest regularly with a broker, because every time you make an investment, you have to give him some money. But through dividend reinvestment plans, you don't have to. Well, by investing regularly in these companies, when they are on sale, when the market is going down, you are doing yourself the biggest favor in the world. It's funny how people rush get in the market when it is reaching its highs, and everybody is so anxious to put their money on the table. But when it's going down, they want to put it someplace else. When it's going down, put it in. First of all, you don't know it's going to continue going down. Nobody really knows the direction of the market.
We routinely miss the bottom.
Yeah, we do. And the fact is that when everyone is thinking that it's definitely headed down to the bottom, that may be just the time. That usually is just the time that it's going to start up. So we don't know when that is.
Now, a simple example of dollar cost averaging, which is the premise upon which dividend reinvestment programs have been so successful, simply states that if I am investing $100 a month,
right,
and I'm buying a stock which is currently trading at $10 a share, effectively I have bought 10 shares. Now, my strategy has to be, and we have to understand as investors, that what we're trying to do is accumulate the largest number of shares physically possible.
Exactly.
And get away from the mentality of, at least short term, of accumulating the most dollars possible. Now, if this share price, now I don't think the market will do this, but let's say just for our math purposes, simple math, the $10 share stock drops to $5 a share. Now, I just bought 10 shares with $100 at $10, but if the share price drops to $5,
you're going to buy 20 shares next time, if you can keep your courage in place and invest.
Now, realistically, the point is, like you stated, we're going to eventually hit the trough. We're going to hit the bottom sooner or later, where stocks stop going down. Now, my understanding is, and I've always believed, that if you follow a dollar cost averaging strategy, when you get to the very end of that, the average cost of the shares you own will be closer to the bottom than they will have been to the top.
Right. So when you look at what the average price was over the time that you were investing, you're going to find that you didn't buy your shares at the average price, which would be good enough, right? You didn't buy at the high.
Right.
And you didn't get the low, but you got the average. Well, you're going to do a lot better than that, because you will have bought more of your shares when that price was at the lower end.
Now,
fewer at the high.
And since we all want to effectively buy low in an effort to sell high, which is where our profits are made.
That is what you will do. And the fact is, you can't do it any other way, because emotionally, people just can't do it unless you make up your mind that you are going to send that amount of money on a regular basis. When you see the market slide, you are going to run for cover.
Now, every major bull market we've had historically was preceded by a bear market. Now, I've been predicting since last March that in the second half of this year, we would be entering into a bear market phase. I expect by late 96, early 97, we will be back into that next bull market phase. So the period between now and then is the period during which we should be most consistently and most disciplined in our investing.
Exactly. That's when we should be accumulating our shares.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Vita Nelson. She's the editor of the Money Paper. Caller, Joe in Cranston, you're next on Money Talk. Welcome.
Thank you. I'd like to know, I have an Eaton Vance National Mutual Fund, and I also have Eaton Vance Rhode Island Tax-Free Fund.
Yes.
And with the market going down, the interest rates going up the way they are, would it be wise for me to stay with it, or should I pull out of it?
Joe, are you taking income from that portfolio?
Yes, I am.
Okay, then you should stay in it, because you're in a cycle. Interest rates are rising. They will eventually peak out and then come back down again sometime 5 to 7 years down the road, at which time you're going to find the price of the bonds that you're investing in also rising. If you're taking income, remember something. The dividend you receive every month is not based upon the dollar value of your mutual fund. It's based on the number of shares you bought originally. And the number of shares has not gone down, has it? Well, if you look carefully at your statement, you'll find, take my word for it, it hasn't gone down. But what you're going to find, too, is as interest rates do rise, the yield, which is the monthly check you're receiving, may actually go up at some point in the near future. It's not going to make up for what you've lost. And when you get your quarterly statements, I do promise that it hurts your feelings to see the dollar value of that going down.
Right.
But as long as you're not intending to take the money out of the fund, then you're not going to lock in those losses, and eventually you'll ride the cycle through and find you've recovered most of your gains. But it'll take you a few years to do it, I think, Joe.
So in other words, just stay in it.
Stay in it. And by the way, Eaton Vance is one of the larger companies in the market providing state-specific funds. So I don't think you'd made a bad choice at all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vita Nelson is our guest. We're talking about dividend reinvestment plans. Vita, how does one actually get started? I mean, we talked to an earlier caller. We kind of alluded to the fact that even $7,600 is not too little to be involved with.
Oh, no, not at all. All you need is one share of stock.
Well, you know, the reason I mention that is because even some of the other guests who are stock pickers by trade have stated that in order to do the job well yourself, you really need about $100,000 in order to put together a well-diversified portfolio.
Not if you pick from among the 873 different companies in our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans. These are the most well-known. These are the Dow companies. These are the companies that have stood the test of time. If you pick from those companies, you need one share of stock, and then you are on your way. That's all you need. And then you buy fractional shares. You don't buy shares anymore. You buy whatever $100 will buy or whatever $25 will buy.
And now the deal is, once I own that one share, I am now effectively a shareholder of that company.
That is exactly right. And the reason no one knows about these plans is because no one has any vested interest in promoting them.
We're going to have to take a brief break to pay a few bills here at HJJ. We're talking to Vita Nelson, the editor of the Money paper. Stay tuned because the talk will continue right here on 920 AM WHJJ.
Hi, I'm Maura from Tweeter. The fact is that every major stereo store in business today has a price guarantee. And Tweeter has automatic price protection, so we mail you a check if we find an item you bought advertised for less. But Tweeter has more than just great prices on audio and video equipment. You see, we take music seriously and have for over 20 years. So if you're in the market for, let's say, a new pair of speakers, at Tweeter, you'll listen to little speakers, big speakers, invisible in-wall speakers, speakers that go outside, subwoofers that play low, and speakers that surround you with sound. Tweeter has great-sounding speakers starting at just $79 a pair. And because we know that speakers are the most important part of your system, Tweeter has just the right selection. We won't confuse you with a dozen different brands, and we won't bore you with just one. So if great music is important to you, experience a breathtaking live performance at Tweeter.
Tweeter has stores in Warwick on Route 2 and in Seekonk on Route 6, across from Heartland Foods.
Squeeze, 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 Dijonnaise, Hellman's, Dijonnaise, squeeze, squeeze.
Now Hellman's Dijonnaise Creamy Mustard Blend comes in a convenient squeeze bottle.
Dijonnaise, squeeze, squeeze, Dijonnaise, its taste will amaze.
In taste tests among adults, Dijonnaise beat the leading mustard 2-1. That's why it's my main squeeze.
Nothing beats my Hellman's Dijonnaise.
Squeeze and Dijonnaise.
We're still trying to figure out where to go on vacation this year. But I know this, we're going to bring our car to Sears first.
At Sears, we're committed to giving your car the best selection and prices on tires, expert shock and brake specialists, and warranties honored coast to coast. See store for details. Wherever you go this summer, we'll be there when you need us.
Could be the mountains, or maybe the beach, but it's got to be Sears.
Sears Tire and Auto Center. We're driven to satisfy.
I'm in the garden center here at Ann and Hope, and I've got to tell you, if you've even thought about going anywhere else for lawn and garden products or equipment, anything like that, don't even bother. First of all, you're not going to find this much stuff anywhere else. I mean famous name lawn and garden supplies, everything you can imagine. All kinds of fruit trees, shade trees, shrubs, bushes, all of them with a 1-year guarantee. Every kind of fertilizer, grass seed, garden tools, sod strips, annuals, beautiful stuff, and tons of it. And as far as the prices, Ann and Hope's are as much as 30 and 50% less than other places, and always the lowest. Ann and Hope guarantees that. Listen, shop around if you want to, but if you want my advice, I say buy it in the garden center at Ann and Hope. By the way, there's some great specials right now. Don't miss that.
This week, the Garden Center at Ann & Hope features the MTD rear discharge 3.5 horsepower lawnmower at a great price that even includes the bag. Are you ready? It's just $179.97. Get one.
Don't most clearance sales make you crazy? They advertise great prices, but when you get there, all you find is stuff so ugly it blinds you. That's why at Joseph A. Bank, we invented America's only true summer clearance sale, featuring a terrific selection of fine men's and women's classic tailored clothing made right here in America. Like every men's summer sport coat and blazer, just $199. Plus cotton-rich poplin suits, only $189. And our famous year-round wool suits at exceptional prices. On top of that, summer dresses are as low as $89.99 and summer blouses start at $29.99. Plus, all famous Joseph A. Bank cotton dress shirts, $29.50. Now that's every men's dress shirt in the store, even the fanciest ones made from the finest Pima cotton, just $29.50. So for the best selection, hurry into Joseph A. Bank today.
The summer clearance sale only at Joseph A. Bank, Garden City Center in Cranston, open weekdays till 9, Saturday until 6, and Sunday noon to 5.
The average New England lawn produces over 3 tons, nearly 260 bags of grass clippings each year from 1 half-acre lawn. The Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management wants you to know grass isn't trash. You can save valuable time, energy, money, and resources by recycling your grass clippings back into your lawn. It's easy to do, and your lawn will look better than ever. Plus, you'll be doing your part to help clean up Rhode Island. For a free brochure on grass recycling, call the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management's Oscar program at 1-800-CLEAN-RI. That's 1-800-CLEAN-RI. This brochure contains valuable information on water conservation, fertilizing, and other techniques to keep your lawn green and Rhode Island clean.
Don't trash grass. For information on how to recycle grass clippings, call the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management.
So don't bag it.
We are back with Money Talk, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Donald Sowa. My guest is Vita Nelson. She's the editor of the Money Paper. We're talking about dividend reinvestment programs tonight. Vita, getting into a program of this, we've already explained that it's not as complex as people think. But what about that issue of getting out? I mean, one problem has always been, in order for someone to sell a stock, there has to be somebody buying it. How does a DRIPS plan
you
help?
can sell them just the way you would sell any other stock. Once you've accumulated a round lot of stock, there's no harm in paying a broker to sell it. Mm-hmm. The harm is in paying a broker every time you buy a share and a quarter, 2 1/4 shares. You don't want to pay a broker for that. But then once you have a round lot of stock, just simply ask for a certificate. Ask the transfer agent to send you a certificate. There's barely, if any, cost associated with that. And put it in your safe deposit box, and then send it on to the broker when you want to sell.
So if you're selling through a discount broker and perhaps the transaction charges are in the $40, $45 range.
Yeah, there's no harm at all.
It ends up being 45 cents a share to get out.
Exactly, and you can want anything better than that.
Now, is it fair to say that this strategy that we've been talking about this evening is really not for the speculator or the trader?
No, you want to have a nice long time horizon. I think that's true when you invest in stock in general. That is definitely the case. You are going to be accumulating over time. You're going to be buying in up markets. You're going to be buying in down markets. It's just that you're going to be buying fewer shares when the price is high.
Now, the first time that you were on the program with us, you did make a wonderful offer to our Money Talk listeners here in the southern New England area, and I noticed your response was quite phenomenal. You're offering that same offer again tonight.
The same offer, absolutely. Any of your listeners who would like to know more about the Money Papers, simply call our 800 number. It's 388-9993. And if they would like to subscribe because they heard this program for $36 instead of the usual $72, and the guidebook for $9, which is the subscriber's price.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to educate yourself about another aspect of investing. I know that there are a great many people who feel that in order to be in the individual securities marketplace, they have to be using dollars that they can afford to lose. Through diversification, you do, in fact, have the opportunity to not only educate yourself, but to minimize the risk. And, of course, the stocks that are being recommended in the portfolio are certainly being picked carefully, and they're the ones that are appropriate for the type of investing
And
we're doing.
there are stocks in virtually every industry that have dividend reinvestment plans, from Ford Motor to General Motors. I mean, just everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight. It's been a wonderful week here at Money Talk. Vita Nelson, thanks for joining us as well.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
This has been Money Talk on WHJJ, folks. Stay tuned because Pawtucket Red Sox are against Norfolk tonight right here on 920 AM WHJJ.
Money Talk is intended to provide general information on personal finance. The opinions expressed by the host and other financial professionals on the program do not substitute for financial advice given after private consultation on an individual basis with a financial professional, and represent the informal opinions based on the facts as stated by the callers. They are
Look at Vita.
Okay, like we're not here. I'll give you a countdown. 5 from here. Okay, 5, 4, 3.
I'd like to welcome back Vita Nelson, editor and publisher of the Money Paper, and an expert on dividend reinvestment plans. Vita, please explain why people would want to know about dividend reinvestment plans.
Simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees, no mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for the smaller investor to get into the market.
Aren't the mechanics of enrolling in DRPs or dividend reinvestment plans a bit daunting?
Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be very happy to send your listeners the details.
You know, Peter Lynch was on our program a short time ago, and he was extolling the virtues of dollar-cost averaging, especially in volatile markets such as we're having today. Since your philosophy is based on dollar-cost averaging, would you please explain that?
Dollar-cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer shares when the price is high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a market top.
Now, you regularly suggest model portfolios, Vita, that seem a lot like having your subscribers create their own mutual funds.
That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now. And we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the Money Paper, we select 20 different companies that we like, that make up a balanced portfolio. If anyone in your audience would like to see a sample copy of the Money Paper, just call our office in Mamaroneck. All right, say.
Vita?
Yes.
In between takes, do not look at Mike.
Okay.
Just take a natural break. Just keep your eyes on that on the paper.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Steve. Time out for just a second. Hey, Steve.
Oh, it's going to hurt your arm. That's good exercise, yeah.
Yeah, take a look at the monitor there on the jacket on the shoulder.
It's just a small creature.
Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, stand by. Two's rolling, 2 hands, speed. Good.
You ready?
Rolling, stand by for speed. And
1 has speed.
A little further back even, Don. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, just keep your eyes on one another. Don't acknowledge us. Don't look at us. Anytime.
It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees or mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify. Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be happy to send your listeners the details. Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom. That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now, and we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the money paper, we select 20 different companies that we like, that make up a balanced portfolio. If anyone of your audience would like to see a sample copy of the money paper free, just call our office in Mamaroneck, New York.
Stopping tape. You do? As if you're having a conversation, not announcing.
Okay.
Natural.
You're not
Yes.
announcing. You're having a
Okay,
conversation.
all right.
And you're very excited about this.
Okay.
You're gonna. All these people are gonna make a lot of money. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Tell me when to start.
Stand by.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime.
It's really very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees or mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify. I have to do that one again. I keep looking at somebody's eyes. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm going to, this time, is it really okay just to look at that paper? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to, I guess.
It's just like you're making eye
Uh-huh,
contact.
all right. Does it really? It's funny to think that it is. Okay. Okay. It's really very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees or mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to be diversified. Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be happy to send your listeners the details. Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a market top and sell at a bottom. That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we list every company that has a dividend reinvestment plan, 873 in all. And we list them by industries. So, you see, you need the other page. It's the next page.
There you go.
Actually, I almost like doing it better without it.
Like you're doing it better without.
Without reading it. Because, I realize I know what that is.
Can you do this one without reading it?
Yeah, I bet I could. Let me...
We're still
We're
rolling,
going
right?
to try it one time. So did you take those together? Then you can turn it down. If you make a crease, you could turn it down so it won't be lower than eye level. Do you know what I mean? Make a crease each place you have to turn it and see what the end word is. I can give you, well.
Pausing time. For speed. Speed on 2.
Speed on 1.
It's very simple. And it.
Stand by. Anytime.
It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees, no mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify. Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be happy to send your listeners the details. Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. You see, with this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom. That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now, and we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the money paper, we select 20 different companies that we like that make up a balanced portfolio. If any one of your audience would like to see a sample copy of the money paper free, just call our office in Mamaroneck, New York.
Tape stop. Stopping tapes.
It's got a little extra.
Speed on 2.
Speed on 1.
Are you ready?
Anytime.
Mm-hmm. It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees or mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify. Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be happy to send your listeners the details. Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom.
Do that one over, please.
Go back.
Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom. That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now, and we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the money paper, we select 20 different companies that we like, that make up a balanced portfolio. If any one of your audience would like to see a sample copy of the money paper, just call our office in Mamaroneck, New York.
Okay, we're going to go from the top. Very good. Do you need a drink or anything? I need to change tape here.
Tape stop.
I'm going to do it crazy before. Don't even up. I have another one of them so that you could see it, because I thought I was going to It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees, no mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify.
Look down there at the end.
Is this, I was wondering, is this okay?
That's fine. Just
Oh, okay. I moved it. Oh, well. All right, so do I have to do it again?
Yes, please.
Is it rolling? Are we going to identify this one? This is the take. Can we remember this? Because we have to look at it all. All right. It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. It's very simple. In addition to reinvesting the dividends, you can send money to these plans to buy more shares in the companies. So there are no broker fees, no mutual fund fees. It's a wonderful way for smaller investors to diversify. Not at all. Nothing could be simpler. I'll be happy to send your listeners the details. Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom. Can I do that one again?
Sure.
Dollar cost averaging is investing the same dollar amount on a regular basis. That way your dollars buy more shares when the price is low and fewer when it's high. With this strategy, there's no risk that you will buy at a top and sell at a bottom. That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now, and we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the money paper, we select 20 different companies that we like that make up a balanced portfolio. If any one of your listeners would like to see a sample copy of the money paper, just call our office in Mamaroneck, New York. If anyone in your audience would like to see a sample copy of the money paper,
Take it again from the top. Don't look at us. Get your eye contact straight.
The top of that section or the top?
yeah, the top of the section or the top?
That section.
That's exactly right. In our Guide to Dividend Reinvestment Plans, we include every company that has a DRP, 873 now, and we identify them according to their industry. And each month in the money paper, we select 20 different companies that we like. They make up a balanced portfolio. If anyone in your audience would like to see a sample copy of the money paper free, just call our office in Mamaroneck, New York.